Good afternoon, welcome to Thurrock Oakfield. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, welcome to Thurrock Oakfield. Good afternoon.
Can I take the microphones out?
Hello. 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 Good afternoon and welcome to Thurrock Oakfield, where today the visitors are Chingford. Chingford Rugby Club, founded in 1928, the same year as Thurrock. However, Chingford was founded by a congregational church, and originally was known as Chingford Guild Rugby Club, a Christian rugby club. The ground was initially owned by the local milkman, Mr. Soper, and he loaned the ground to the club, and it was situated alongside the Lee Valley reservoirs. Many a fly half knew it. If you want to waste some time, kick the ball into the water. Club members built 2 change rooms, a plunge bath shortly afterwards, heated by a stove. The grandstand was a double-decker bus, and the players washed in a local piggery. Anyway, it is Chingford are about to kick off. Good kick-off by Steph Harding. The Chingford fly half has gone to touch. So that's a great throw-in by Dan Olf, hitting the target of Caelan Watts-Adams in the first line out. Henry Bird takes the first ball up the middle of the field. Tani Loka is upended by a terrific tackle. And there's a turnover as he loses possession, has gone forward. That was Seb Foster, the tight head prop with that tackle, giving Chingford an advantage on the outside. Right winger Leighton Ball. He's put into touch by an equally good tackle by Ahmed Aminu. So Chingford have Elliot Hutchinson at full back, Leighton Ball, who just made that run, the right wing. Sam Hughes and Connor Weston make up the centre partnership, with Weston the captain today. Joe Saunders is at 11 on the left wing. Steph Harding, who kicked off at fly half, partnered by Alex Deary. It's Anthony Gallagher to throw in. Sorry, it's Dan Olf to throw in for Thurrock. Anthony Gallagher being the hooker for Chingford. The rest of the front row is made up by Michael Tristiaki on the loose head and Seb Foster on the tight head. Second row, Max Rui and Joe Roane. And the back row is formed by James Webster, number 8, Matt Whiting and Rhys Evans. On the bench have Steve Piper, Dan Buckley and Jack Winch. So it's a penalty to Thurrock. It's smashed down the field, hasn't found touch, close to the Chingford line. Ahmed Aminu has charged that one down, putting Thurrock in a strong attacking position, but Chingford will have the throw in. I'm privileged to have with me this afternoon Gabrielle Diana, my co-commentator, alongside Marco Diana, the cameraman. And Thurrock today have Rhys Cotter at full back. I think it's his 5th or 6th game. Kai Holloway is on the right wing, and scored a hatful of tries in recent weeks. That's been overthrown by Chingford. Thurrock have quick ball. Dan Stone, a fly off, gets the ball in open space, throws a couple of dummies, almost puts Henry Bird over. He's gone over the line himself, but he's had a double movement and just the last minute given away a penalty. So now Clifford, who's the vice captain, forms a very strong partnership with Henry Bird. Hamid Aminu is on the left wing, just having charged out ball down. Dan Stone, who looks set to have a long run at 10, almost scored a try, but probably needs to be a little bit more patient. Alex Jones is scrum half again. Again, that's a throw which has been gone awry. Danolf is a grateful recipient of that ball in the loose. Penalty coming to Thurrock. No time to take advantage. So Ben Timpson, the captain, is back this week, number 8. And Lawrence Brown, a welcome return to that man after a long period of injury. And he moves into the back row. Well, he's played most of his rugby at Thurrock as hooker. Jay Jennings is number 6. Caelan Watts-Adams and Tritton Loker in the powerhouse. And Antrobus, Danolf and Frank Wright form a powerful front row. That leaves Ed Stevens, James Roger and Tom Whelm on the bench. The referee today is Matt Gallagher of the London Society. I'll introduce you to Gabriella once again, who will let you know how things are going so far.
So far, I think that was a fantastic bit of play from Thurrock there. Hopefully they're going to be utilising their strong kicker this game, but I believe they've just got a try, which is fantastic this soon in the game. This should be a very challenging game for both of them.
That's a try, I think, for Alex Jones, sniping around the open side on that occasion. He did the same last week. And he and Ed Stevens have been vying for the scrum half spot. And between them, they've scored quite a few tries this season already. So Dan Stone, having gone close just a minute or so ago, is now lining up the conversion.
Yeah. Did we convert? I'm just going to do it.
Unfortunately, just a missed conversion there. It's quite a tight angle, but hopefully it'll be good practice for the next try.
So we have a northeasterly this afternoon. That's what's driven the ball across the face of the post. Very well taken by Aaron Antrobus. Alex Jones with a box kick. Good pressure. It's always the detail with the box kick, and Ben Timpson very close there. And Rhys Evans, a Welshman, playing in the back row for Chingford, has knocked that into touch, giving Thurrock the line out. Danolf gets ball in quickly to Caelan Watts-Adams. Dan Stone feeds Henry Bird. Dan Stone loops around, using his pace, he goes outside. He's looking inside and outside, throws yet another dummy. He's accelerating all the way, and Dan Stone makes amends with a scintillating 60-yard try.
That was a fantastic bit of play there from the backs. Amazing to confuse the opposition, although they seem to be trying to play the ref instead of play the game, which allowed Thurrock to run through there and get the second try in the first 5-10 minutes, which is absolutely brilliant to see from them. This will be quite a difficult kick for a right-footed kicker, especially with the wind coming from a bit of an awkward angle, but we'll hope for the best.
Having said that, of course, Dan Stone just scored a scintillating try with a series of dummies and acceleration around the outside, and that might spur him on to attempt this very difficult conversion. I thought I couldn't have asked for a better start than this. They'd be on the attack from the start. They've already scored 2 tries. Which probably vindicates the decision to play with the wind in the first half. Unfortunately, a bit of a daisy cutter on the kick. And so Steph Harding again with the unenviable task of kicking off for the third time. Caelan Watts-Adams snaffles that ball, feeds it back. Alex Jones with a long upfield kick. It's well taken this time by Rhys Evans. Held up by Ben Timpson, who has to release. I'm glad we're not seeing the sort of kick reciprocity we get from internationals these days. Last week, I think the ball was only in play for 29 minutes in one of the matches. Thurrock not releasing. Harding kicks the ball downfield. Rhys Cotter is in place. But Thurrock went 10 metres. Hence another penalty kick. A little bit of ill discipline undid Thurrock last week. And they concede another 10 metres there, but not moving back quickly enough.
Yeah, the same time. There you go.
So an opportunity for a little advertisement for tomorrow's game.
Yep, so we've actually got, for the women's team, we've got 2 games going. So we've got the first team away at Hove, and we've got the second team here at home against, who are we against? Lordswood Valkyries. It'll be kick-off, can't remember my own team. It'll be kick-off at 2 p.m. Obviously, it's a new starting game, or a new starting team. So if yourself or anyone else over the age of 18 wants to come join, come down on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock for a bit of training. We'll get you straight into the game. But if you want to come support tomorrow, by all means, come along at 2 o'clock.
And furthermore, Gabriella will be playing, so you can come and commentate if you want. So that didn't make touch, and Ahmed Aminu trapped it with his foot. It wasn't the greatest trap, but he managed to recover possession. Ben Timpson looking for work. Dan Stone feeds Henry Bird, goes to the handoff on the outside. Clifford looking for the offload. And the referee deems that that was an obstruction. That obstruction gives Chingford an attacking line-out. Sandy Loker has won at the front quite majestically. Alex Jones to the box kick. This time he elects to go to touch. Not a bad option considering Thurrock have just won that line against the throw. Anthony Gallagher, no relation to the referee, one would hope. Matt Gallagher. Anthony Gallagher to throw in. Slightly wider gaps this time. Once again, Loker manages to get a hand to it. Caelan Watts-Adams picks up the pieces. Trubus, first receiver, good clear out. Gives Alex Jones another chance to kick upfield. This time he goes towards the middle of the field. It's a Leighton Ball, who looks very quick and athletic, who manages to pick up. A very good tackle by Dan Stone. Manages to locate him with his radar. And that's sufficient pace to get across the field. That's a good kick by Steph Harding. It pushes play deep into Thurrock's half. Floodlights have come on early this afternoon. You see that Thurrock are in red this week. Chingford having very similar colours. Thurrock, black and white. And you'll see the scoreboard there in sharp relief against the new buildings behind the posts. So the scoreboard shows after 12 minutes, Thurrock 10, Chingford 0. Last week against Brentwood, Thurrock fell 24 points behind when facing the slope and the wind. They clawed themselves back into the game, got to 19-24, and probably should have won in the end. A little bit more patience. So I think this is the first scrum.
Yes, I believe this is the first scrum of the game. It's brilliant to see that it's a very versatile game, full of, well, kicking and a lot of movement from the forwards, but equally brilliant moves from the backs as well. Definitely going to be a difficult one.
Good even scrum, very solid scrum from both teams. Chingford have the ball. Sam Hughes running across the field there. Seemed isolated for a while, but Chingford managed to retain the ball. This time's a kick ahead. Leighton Ball chasing. Reese Cotter had that covered. There's a knock on earlier as Thurrock tried to win the turnover. I believe it's a Leighton Ball on the left wing, but is down the programme is on the right wing. So I might have him confused with Joe Saunders. I have to get some confirmation from that from the Chingford coaching team as soon as I can. And I think there's an injury there on the far side to the captain, Ben Timpson. Lawrence Brown was a back row player at Ilford before he moved to Thurrock with his brother Morgan. He's now packing down at number 6. There's a good afternoon to all of our regular viewers, to Paul Stevens in Singapore, to Mercedes and Jenny in the Cayman Islands. I hope you're watching tomorrow as well. And to all of our Welsh contingent down there in Absleri. And once again, I'll repeat congratulations to Richard Catlin and his son Matthew. Matthew played for Crawshay's Welsh 15 last week against Oxford University in a pre-varsity match game. It's a great honour for the club and a great honour for the family. So Chingford have won that one. A little loop around by Steph Harding. He's lost the ball in possession. Gives Ahmed Aminu a chance to pick up the ball and make ground in the middle of the field. Now Clifford goes blind. He feeds Reese Cotter. He puts in a long kick up the middle of the field. Let's move towards the open side. There's been a knock on there by Leighton Ball or Joe Saunders, whichever the left winger is. Who do you think it is? 50% chance.
I'll go Saunders. I'll go with that one.
Unfortunately, well, let's hope whoever it was, we got the wrong name because there was a knock on there. Should we perhaps call him Leighton Saunders or Joe Ball? Either way, whoever it was, Thurrock have put in right in the middle of the field on the 22. Probably the best attacking position on the field. Which way will it go, right or left?
I think they're going to get us going right. Reese is...
Ben Timms has picked up from 8. He's given the ball to Alex Jones. Alex Jones throws. Reese caught the ball. And that's a nice try for Kai Holloway. Suggested the best position in the park to play the opposition.
That was a very excellent play from Thurrock there. It's definitely confusing the opposition. They're not playing the same game every single time the ball comes out to them. So that is a fantastic way to keep it going, keep the ball alive. And I believe that is Reese Cotter going to take the conversion from the right side.
Now we have a change of kicker. Reese Cotter. Will he allow for the ball to drift across the front of the posts? Would he have learned from the sighter from Dan Stone? He's certainly learned, but unfortunately the wind stopped that moment and there was no curvature of the ball at all. So it's Thurrock 15, Chingford 0. Good to see Scott Chitty, the first team manager, here today. Hopefully he's getting better. Good to see Cody Holloway, who should be returning from suspension fairly soon. This time's a long kickoff. Dan Stone has taken that. In his own 22. Decided to put the ball back in the Chingford half. And that's Elliot Hutchinson with an outstanding kick right into the third corner. So it seemed like good clearance from Dan Stone. Possibly could have gone to touch from his own 22. But Elliot Hutchinson returns with a vast amount of interest. Again, keen and contested line out. But this time Anthony Gallagher's got absolutely right. Chingford have come up with the ball. The first attacking opportunity. It travelled through the forwards. Once again, they set it up in the middle of the field underneath the post. This time Thurrock don't roll away. Chingford have gone very, very quickly. Thurrock were 10 metres back. And unfortunately, it looks like another penalty and a yellow card. So there was some interference there, and perhaps they weren't 10. By the way, Caitlin Watts-Adams has been sent to the bin for 10 minutes.
Are they? Okay, no international until done.
It's good to see last week the end of the autumn series, but nobody won.
Good to see Wales done well in the football.
We're very much bipartisan in this club, you know.
Not all of us are.
You can see the Welsh contingent behind the post in the area there, the viewing area there. It's a great scrum from Thurrock, even down to 7 forwards. They managed to get the nudge there. So when you go down to 14 players, that's just the riposte you want. Dan Stone grabs the ball as a fly half should. Decides to take responsibility and pumps that one into touch. Always difficult kicking this side because of the impact of the grandstand. If you kick above the grandstand, the ball blows back into play. So you have to really give it full power. That's what he's done. Swing just outside the 22, but nevertheless, that's good enough. It's safe. This time the line goes to Jay Jennings in the middle, but it's gone by. It was a crooked throw-in, even though Thurrock did manage to win it. Sometimes you wonder in defence position why people opt for long lineouts. Very windy day, strong northeasterly, very cold. Safe bet is the front of the lineout, especially when you're going to kick the ball away.
Yeah, obviously it's unfortunate that Kanan has got a yellow card. You never want to lose a forward in a game, especially when the next play's a scrum, but Thurrock seem to be doing well to hold their ground, and let's hope they do it again.
This time's a better scrum for Chingford. Ben Lawrence Brown makes a good tackle, manages to roll away quickly. Dan Ulf. It's a good tackling position for Chingford. No, Clifford hard in the tackle. This time the ball is taken by Ahmed Amu. The ball went forward, then hit a Thurrock player. So in the confusion, Chingford taking a quick tap, but on the attack once again. Chingford take the short route. There's nothing like the fillip of the opposition losing a man to the bin than having a strong attacking position. This time they go through the processes. They are very close to the Thurrock line. Now they throw the ball out wide, but even they've got the extra man. Thurrock move out. Reese Cott, the full back, has come in really hard in the tackle there and saved the day. Thurrock have knocked Chingford back a little, but there was a knockdown in the tackle. Quick tap once again. This time the ball comes out to the wing. Once again, Thurrock are not 10 metres. This is in the red zone, and the referee might be talking about another yellow card. So Thurrock, having had the brightest of starts, now find themselves in difficulty and incurring the wrath of the referee. Chingford elect to take the attacking scrum. So a quarter of an hour gone, Thurrock now find themselves on the defensive, a man down, and Chingford driving a 7-man scrum backwards. It has stopped short, but Chingford have picked up and they have scored. I think that was fairly inevitable. Thurrock obviously need to reorganise. That's a try for James Webster, the number 8.
Yes, that was very unfortunate for Thurrock. It was well picked up by Chingford, though. There was a brilliant move there from their number 14. It was unfortunate they just got brought short. And likewise earlier when the pass was made to someone that just wasn't there, but it was well seen by Reese Cotter, who managed to make the stop to the pass. We'll see if Steph Harding can make this conversion, once again with the wind against him. And just left, I believe that might have been taken by the wind, as it just picked up as he kicked. We set up again for Thurrock to kick off to Chingford.
So superb start from Thurrock, dominating the game early on. 3 quick tries, and then the unfortunate loss of Caelan Watts-Adams led to a change of fortunes. Chingford have capitalised. They've scored their first try through number 8 James Webster, and that's given them a little bit of confidence as Dan Stone prepares to kick off. Stone drops out into space inside the Chingford 22. A little bit of hesitancy there. They're able to clear their lines with a kick initially. And exterior has a chance with the box kick now. That's gone up the middle of the field. And Dan Stone is able to take that. Manages to beat the first man. Sets the ball back through the squeeze. Frank Wright, Lawrence Webster, looking for work. Henry Bird, out of the middle of the park. He comes back inside strongly, looking for contact. And Antrobus throws the ball behind Lawrence Brown. Dan Ulf has a chance to break away. The hooker, he puts the ball back. Frank Wright. And the ball has been ripped from Frank Wright to good effect. Cotter now returns the ball. Cotter puts everybody on side. Has to take the contact from Matt Whiting. Runs straight into the fullback. That's an excellent tackle by Rhys Cotter against the big man. And then Whiting has held onto the ball in the tackle, and the referee has penalised him. So Thurrock have had a chance to reset now, and they probably want to take their time in order to allow Caelan Watts-Adams to get back onto the field. That's a good kick by Dan Stone, using the elements.
I was out last night and I took points.
So try to get the ball early. It's good to see that. Having watched the internationals the last few weeks, where people have a little discussion before they go to the lineouts, let alone take it. If they go to the same place, Loker at the front. Has come out a long way to Dan Stone in the middle of the field. He throws a dummy to Kai Holloway, but then Kai Holloway knocks the ball on in the middle of the field.
I'm not one bit sort of worried about it or whatever. Just it is what it is, isn't it? And,
it was unfortunate. A bit of a malaise last week as well, when Thurrock were in good scoring positions and through long, ostentatious passes, which went a little bit awry. Sometimes the short, simple pass is the easier option. So Thurrock still down to 7 the scrum, so gives Chingford an opportunity to go blind. Ball has gone behind Sam Hughes in the centre. Connor Weston tidies up, but that's a good tackle. It gives Thurrock a bit of an advantage, and Watts-Adams comes back onto the field. So the usual deficit when a player is sent to the bin is 7 points, so Thurrock have escaped quite lightly there with just the 5, I suppose. Nevertheless, in terms of confidence, it has set them back a little and gave Chingford the opportunity to get into the game. Whereas they must have been feeling quite despondent early on. Good rapport on the line-out between Dan Ulf and Caelan Watts-Adams, of course. They were at Campion School together, so they are quite used to each other. I must say the octogenarian Dritan Loker has played very well this season. Do you agree?
No, I do agree, especially this game. This has been a very good line-out game for him, it's been a very good game for Thurrock so far.
It's been fascinating to watch the mature second row, which is Dritan Loka, pairing up with Jay Jennings and Caelan Watts-Adams, probably half his age. Less than half his age, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I hope Mrs. Loka isn't watching. Told her he's only 22.
Always good to have a more experienced pairing with two younger drivers, I suppose.
It's a good driving maul by Thurrock. They're making good headway. They've now got a penalty, so a free ball, so they'll continue with the drive. Has gone to ground, so it's a free ball. Thurrock have a chance to put Ahmed Aminu through in the middle. Unfortunately, once again, the pass is a little bit stern. It has gone to ground. So yesterday, last night, I was in Cardiff with former chair Mr. Lewis Hughes, and we were with now Clifford's mentor, Mr. Alan Richards, and he sends his best wishes to young Mick Clifford as well. So good afternoon to Mick. So Thurrock have a penalty, and Chingford did drop that driving maul in the red zone, and I'm quite surprised it hasn't resulted in a yellow card. There must be a technical reason for that. There's been an injury to a Thurrock player. Looks like Lawrence Brown, but he's fine. And so with that penalty, Thurrock are going for the attacking line-out. Dan Stone plonks the ball into touch. What do you expect from this, Gabriella?
Well, Thurrock have clearly been quite strong with their line-outs, especially doing the double dummy, which they seem to be doing here. It's a brilliant play and clearly very well rehearsed within training, so it's always amazing to see it being put into play. But as we've seen, it's resulted in a try.
Chingford up against it on that occasion, having just given away the penalty. And if they'd pulled it down again, it would have resulted in a yellow card. So they probably took the sensible option. Allowed play to continue. That is hooker turn back row Lawrence Brown, depriving the current hooker Dan Olf of another opportunity to score a try, very similar to the one he scored last week against Brentwood.
This will once again be quite a difficult kick for Reese to make, but obviously we've got confidence in one of our young Thurrock players. Fantastic! He managed to score the conversion for Thurrock, so that brings it to 22-5, and I believe that is a bonus point for Thurrock at this point in the game. I think I was correct with my earlier observation that this will definitely be a very strong kicking game from Thurrock, and they're using it to a great advantage against Chingford, although they are managing to pull it back with being able to deal with it.
An excellent driving maul from Thurrock and an outstanding conversion from Rhys Cotter. The earlier one was a sighter, he struck it powerfully. That was an excellent conversion from the touchline. Caelan Watts-Adams now has got the ball, he's run across the field. Dan Stone has in the middle. Henry Bird throws a dummy. Is collared by the loose head prop of Chingford, but it is a high tackle. That's Michael Christiaki with the high tackle. There's no dangerous intent, and the referee simply awards the penalty. Dan Stone taking responsibility for the touch kicking this week. He's been asked by Director of Rugby Martin Jones to take responsibility. Like all good fly-offs, seize the ball and make it your own. So Dan Holt for the multicoloured headgear to throw in. Caelan Watts-Adams in the middle, taken beautifully. Time is a wonderful line, taken by Niall Clifford. He feeds inside to Henry Bird, and that looks like a great try. I thought for a moment the referee was going to award a forward pass, but a great line taken by Niall Clifford. He went through like a dose of salts and looked on his inside, and there was his partner, Henry Bird.
That was an absolutely amazing play that you'd expect probably from the England team with that sort of movement. But that was definitely an amazing catch by our 24, Thurrock's 24, sorry. It was almost like Superman managing to get to that just in time to make the try. But Reece Cotter now lines up for the conversion. And a very quick take, a very confident kick, and Reece Cotter, he manages to get the conversion, and that brings it to 29-5 to Thurrock.
An outstanding line taken by Niall Clifford then. Alan Richards would have been proud of him. Burst through the line, burst through the gap, and looked to find his co-centre, Henry Bird, waiting for the scoring pass. So now excellent kick-off by Chingford. Just landed on the 10 metres, but it was knocked on by them. So once again, Thurrock have an early advantage. Henry Bird again, this time he puts boot to ball. It's a cross-field kick. And it's a very good kick. Bounces a touch on the Chingford 10-metre line. Confident, pragmatic play by Thurrock on that occasion. Just burst into a 29 points to 5 lead, but nothing too loose. Henry Bird has put the ball away to put a little bit more pressure on the Chingford line out.
That surely weren't straight.
A very high throw there, which didn't look terribly straight, but the referee has allowed play to carry on. Nice gap there, opened up by Christiaki. Wasn't quick enough to accelerate through it. That's a huge box kick. Reece Cotter is under pressure there. Just managed to take it. It did go backwards. Then he tries to feed off to Ahmed Aminu. But Christiaki, prompting the play once again, has knocked that on as he attempts to intercept. Christiaki found a nice gap there and tried to accelerate through it, but unfortunately being a loose head prop, it's always quite difficult to make headway against backs. Outstanding box kick from Alex Deary. Put Thurrock under quite a bit of pressure, but Reece Cotter managed to deal with that. So Alex Jones. This time Niall Clifford once again finds a nice gap. And if again he would look to the inside, he would have found Henry Bird. Richard Loka gets the ball. He is put to ground. And Antrobus throws a dummy inside. Shows a big handoff. And manages to make 10 or 15 metres. Alex Jones, quick ball on the outside. The switch to Ahmed Aminu. Aminu is still going. He's now fallen to ground. Quick ball. Again, Henry Bird comes to the outside. He's looking for the gap. Throws a handoff. Finds Niall Clifford. Niall Clifford again. The recipient of a first class kick by Henry Bird. And then almost a repeat of the previous try. Not in depth and distance, certainly in execution.
I think that that one might actually have me speechless. That was a fantastic bit of play from Thurrock. It's amazing to see that the team this season is quite well gelled and they're able to have confidence in their runs and trust that someone will be there to support them. And obviously the accuracy with the passes has been fantastic. The kicking has been on point and can't ask for much more from Thurrock. Obviously they're giving Chingford quite a lot to work on for the second half, but it's an amazing opening to this game. And Reece Cotter lines up for the conversion again, this time taking a little bit more care to the kick. And manages to take the 2 points, which takes them into the second half with 36-5.
Last week, Thurrock's correspondent wrote that Thurrock weren't very far away from a complete performance. They flattered to deceive a few times during the course of the season, and they've played exceptionally well against some of the front runners in the league and haven't quite managed to finish off. Today, they started extremely well, went into an early lead, faltered a little with a little bit of ill discipline and the binning of Caelan Watts-Adams, who probably took one for the team in truth after a succession of penalties, but nevertheless they've come storming back. As soon as Watts-Adams came back on the field, there was only going to be one outcome. There were lots of short passes today that allowed Niall Clifford and Henry Bird to create havoc in the middle of the field. This really is the recipe for the future, rather than going too wide too soon. It's been great to see there hasn't been a lot of reciprocity and interchange of kicking in this game, which has bedeviled some of the autumn series internationals. And last week, in both of the major games, the ball was only in play for about half an hour. A lot of scrummages, took a lot of time. The lineouts, people had a bit of a powwow before going to lineouts, and subsequently it wasn't really good value for the spectators. They're paying up to £150 for tickets. The autumn series is very interesting in the sense that England and Wales had setbacks. England, of course, lost to Argentina and to South Africa, drew with New Zealand, which is probably the highlight of the autumn for them. For Wales, there weren't many highlights. I suppose they did beat Argentina, but they lost narrowly to Australia last week, having been reduced to 13 men and having taken off two of their best players, Alan Wynne-Jones and Taulupe Faletau. Ireland probably came out the victors in the whole of the autumn series, consolidating their position as the world's #1 team, beating all the opposition that was put before them. Of course, France were also unbeaten during the autumn series, and that looks like that will be the seedings for the World Cup next year in France, with Ireland #1 and France #2. Wales have dropped a long way down the rankings. I believe they're in 9th place at the moment, and they're going to face a difficult struggle in their pool games because they have to play Fiji, Georgia and Australia, the two teams who have beaten them the last couple of weeks. So Thurrock ladies, after a difficult start to the season when a lot of players weren't available, have come good in the last few weeks with some outstanding victories. They've been climbing up that table, and what are the prospects for the rest of the season, Gabriella?
Well, we've been striving for better than the beginning of the season. Nobody was quite happy with the results, but obviously show resilience and continue to strive for better. We're hoping for a better outcome to the rest of the season, and hopefully tomorrow for both the first team and the second team will prove that, as both teams have been, well, in the last few weeks, been doing quite well. But yeah, we're hoping to continue to build, and if we continue the way we're going, then we might actually have a chance to bring back this season from quite low in the table, which would be phenomenal for us.
Thank you very much. Yes, it will be a great end of the season. We are just going to the second half of the season, actually, so it's not too bad. There's plenty of time. Well, we hope that you've all been watching the Football World Cup. That's been really exciting. We've seen the underdogs coming through. Sadly, Wales didn't do terribly well, I think a lot of people underestimate the heat out there in Qatar, and you could see on Roman Lukaku's face yesterday when Belgium went out that he was perspiring rather heavily. I think that was the case for the Welsh players. They were leaden-footed in their game against England, and they didn't do terribly well against Iran either. Perhaps they had the tactics wrong, allowed Iran to come onto them rather than attacking them from the start. Perhaps they should have played some of the younger players like Brennan Johnson and Dan James, and maybe the outcome would have been different. But England certainly deserved to get through, and they were outstanding in 2 of their games, especially the Welsh game. And like all good supporters of football and rugby, we wish England all the very best in their game tomorrow against Senegal. So Ben Timpson deep in conversation with the coach, Dave Stevens, on the far side of the pitch. And Marco there is scanning around to the 6th best artificial pitch in the country, where the second team are playing today. And we haven't got wind yet of the score on that pitch, but I'm sure we'll get it shortly. Good to see Malachi Watts-Adams, the brother of Caelan, there on the touchline. Malachi injured, of course, at the moment. Otherwise, he'd be playing for the second team today. It's good to see John Langley, former player in the 70s, coming along to the club this afternoon. He lives in Tewkesbury, Gloucestershire, travelled all this way to watch his team. And that's sort of support that Thurrock commands. And it's so good to be able to speak to our former players around the country and indeed around the world on match days. So please keep watching. Please send the link to all of your friends. Rugby needs exposure during these difficult times. We know from the pandemic, when we couldn't have crowds, what a great thing it was to watch on television. And so you can watch Thurrock every week, courtesy of Marco, Diana, the cameraman. Good afternoon, Marco.
Good afternoon, Ralph.
So it's a welcome to all of our friends in Wales, Brian Davis, Bob Williams, and several other people. And it's good to see that Andy Stanford, the chairman there, is carrying out some shenanigans with the vice chairman, Jason Bedding. And John Langley and his wife Tricia have made their way up to the commentary position. And we'll see if we can get a word from John in a moment about the first half of the game. I think he must be our lucky totem. When he turns up, we play well. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ralph. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we?
Good afternoon, Tricia.
Oh, good afternoon.
I see it's nice and warm as usual.
And how do you think the game has gone so far?
Oh, wonderful. 2 great tries. Great handling. Makes a change to last week, doesn't it?
Well, the 2 centres are excellent, and they work together in concert, and they come on the short ball, on the offload.
Looks like a good 7th team for me.
Very reminiscent of the days of Peter Worsfold, when he would go crashing through the middle, and poachers like Ray Davis, the man with more dummies than the Millionaire's Baby, would pick up on the end of it and go under the posts. What do you think of the new premises and the spectator base behind the post where all the Welsh contingent are?
They are, Mr. Bynard and Mr. Morris. They're giving us a little tour. It's wonderful. Fantastic facilities.
And of course, to your right there, to the south, towards the river, we have the new artificial pitch,
Which I haven't seen.
which is in the top 6 in the country. So it's Dan Stone, formerly of Campion School, to kick off in the second half. Then a long run fly half. It's well taken by Steph Harding, who feeds off rather than kicks. Sam Adamley attempts to take that, has gone backwards. Captain Ben Timpson throws a dummy in the middle of the field. Mike Jones looks blind, just gone past Jay Jennings. Unfortunately, it's gone to ground. That's unfortunate for the young man, he rarely makes a mistake. And an Entrobus has been taken off there, and Tom Wyman has come into the front row. Played second row last week, and when a player got injured, he moved the front row. The referee wouldn't allow it to begin with, said he wasn't registered as a prop. The matter was soon put right, of course, and Tom Wyman came on and performed very well. Scrum has crabbed across field a little. That's an outstanding tackle by Niall Clifford.
Unfair competition.
Sorry, that was Henry Bird. It's very hard to say with those two because they're both great crash tacklers. You have to be careful about the height of the tackle, but that was about as good as it gets.
Terrible thing to make a second row play in the front row, don't you think?
Yeah, so I came across a program the other day where young John Langley was put into the front row. But who was responsible for that, I have no idea. Obviously some visionary.
Happy days, yeah.
Well, in those days, of course, there's no lifting the line out. My philosophy always was that if you put a prop in, a second row into the prop position, you had an extra line out jumper. Of course, Wales did it with Dennis Williams and Delmy Thomas for years before that, so it wasn't unique. Thurrock got the driving ball again, but the ball has been spat out, but nevertheless, it's brilliantly picked up. That's a rampaging run to score there. Gabriella, who was that? Meet Gabriella Diana, John. Hello. She's my co-correspondent. Oh, wow. There we go.
I would love to say who got that one, but I don't think I could quite see amongst all the bodies there, unfortunately. But I'll say it was one of Thurrock, definitely.
That Hughes running back with a spring in his stride. I don't know. I'll have to get confirmation on that one. I think everybody was hoping it was him. Number six, Lawrence Brown. Lawrence Brown returning after injury. Well, he deserves a try, and if it wasn't, he'll get all the credit. We have all modern technology here. Gabrielle is having a quick look back over the footage. It's picked up by Lawrence Brown. Yes, absolutely. Good identification. Lawrence Brown. Good to get on the scoreboard. In all the excitement, we missed the conversion. In the old days, you would have had a place kick if he'd kicked the conversion, but we can't see that today. But it is indeed a try.
Yep, another amazing conversion there from Reece Cotter. And I think the wind just held that kick a little bit there from Chingford. The Thurrock have done well to recover it. Excellent overlap there from Thurrock, well seen. And a brilliant pass back in by Reece to Ahmed. And well carried in there by Thurrock, who just continues to run, no matter with someone hanging on, and gains a vast amount of ground there. A nice offload there from Jay Jennings, and another kick through from Reece Cotter.
That's Lawrence Brown's second try in effect. Last week there were some mistakes with basic skills from some of the Thurrock players. Some of the passes were too long, there were a few knock-ons which are unnecessary. This week they've shortened the game. It's proving to be very effective. On that occasion, Ahmed Aminu came running on the short pass. Clifford has the gain, feeds Dan Olf. Dan Olf, the hooker, another Campion boy, goes for the half gap. This time Lawrence Brown feeds off Tom Wildman. Ben Timpson is held in the tackle. Dan Stone looking for the gap, throws a ball over the top. Looks as if it was forward. The referee comes back for a high tackle. It's good to see Dan Stone taking responsibility for the touch kicks this week. Well, the last few weeks, 3 or 4 people have taken those kicks. It should be the preserve of the fly half. So that touch kick gives a good attacking opportunity. Lawrence Brown seems to be throwing in this half. Maybe Dan Wolf has moved to the back row. Good to have that sort of versatility. Interchangeable hooker and back row. Chingford slow that down, but illegally. So Thurrock have stormed to a 43 points to 5 lead with about half an hour left in this game. I think it's all down to John Langley. Whenever he turns up, we see him play quite well. He'll have to come every week.
It's too far.
Too far, I come from Wales every week.
What a difference to last week, though. Less handling errors. Confidence.
You must be very impressed with the line-out, John.
I am. I shouldn't have anybody lifting them though. There we go.
And we don't see enough of that. When the defence comes up very quickly, it'll chip over the top and quite long dead ball areas in Thurrock, traditionally. That's excellent play from Dan Stone. He saw the opportunity, chipped over, gathered his own kick and touchdown. Second try for him. Should have had 3 actually. The first seconds, of course, he went over the line in double movement.
Oh dear.
That is not a play you see every day in rugby, but it was an excellent one for Dan Stone to manage to pull off. And Rhys Cotter is just lining up for the conversion. It's amazing to see that Thurrock is continuing their strong push into the second half. Usually it's a Thurrock way to play strong one half and not so much the next, but it's a fantastic drive from them. And let's hope it continues.
So it's Thurrock into a 50-point lead. 50 points to 5.
Did he score that?
Now you people out there need to start viewing and get on to your friends because we need to increase these numbers. You're missing a great game. Get on there.
Where's this hand?
This time Mohamed Amni is looking for a bit of the action. Frank Wright. Tom Wildman with a latch on. Frank has spilled that ball. It's Alex Deary not assessing the strength of wind there. When it goes above the grandstand, it blows back into play usually, but that was so strong he went straight into touch. An excellent box kick from Deary in the first half, but that one, unfortunately for him, went straight into touch. So James Roger has come on the field as well to give him experience, the man from Hartlepool. I'm hoping that Mr. Roger is one of our 1,000 viewers today, up there in Hartlepool. So Dritan Loker has been given a little bit of a rest. James Roger has come into the second row. Dan Wolf is in the back row as Lawrence Brown is throwing in. Watts Adams very athletic there, but he wasn't quite straight. Thurrock fortunate, they've got 3 or 4 very good line-out jumpers at the moment. It's just a question of to whom they throw the ball. Watts Adams called himself then. Lawrence Brown has taken over the throwing duties. He's moved to hooker. Dan Wolf was throwing the first half, and of course he'd formed a good rapport with the second row as a result of being in Campion School with him.
And hopefully this will be a very strong push from Thurrock, being as they finally got their last man back. That was very well held by Chingford.
Chingford work a switch of their own between Sam Hughes and Connor Weston, the captain.
I have a question, Ralph. Why is Thurrock playing in red?
Thurrock are playing red because Chingford have the same colours, and it's always the home team who have to change. There's a clash of colours because they're the team who have kit in the locker. Very logical. It probably should have been worked out in advance.
Oh.
Chingford always played in the same colours as Thurrock, black and white. It's very well taken by Ahmed Aminu in the bouncing ball, but he had to accelerate across the field and subsequently ran straight into touch. Was unable to stop. His momentum was too far forward. And Alex Jones has been taken off, and young Eddie Stevens has come back on the pitch, formerly of Swansea University. Eddie Stevens did a degree in architecture. Sadly, Anthony Gallagher unable to fool referee Matt Gallagher, no relation, with that crooked throw-in. Thurrock, yes, unusually played in red, formerly always black and white, and often in cup games all black. Superstition. So another young player on the field, and one has to remember this Thurrock team haven't been together very long. In fact, they haven't even had a full season together. So we're expecting great things of these boys as they mature. This is good news for future of Thurrock, of course, with the school on the premises and eventually a sixth form playing their rugby on this very pitch. Eddie Stevens there with the first left-handed pass. And for once the mechanisms break down the middle of the field. A very convoluted move on that occasion, and the complexity of it deceived everybody, and the ball went forward. What do you think that move was called?
Beats me. Unfortunately.
You're not going to say on air, is that what you mean?
Yeah, definitely. Can't give away their strategy, otherwise everyone will know what they're going to do and they'll beat their play.
That, of course, is never the case. Rugby is a game which is largely proactive. You're going to react to what you've seen, and of course you're going to be in no man's land all the time. You'll never work out what on earth is going on. But I don't even know whether Thurrock knew what was going on that occasion. We've seen so far in this game, simplicity is the answer. So now Chingford have an opportunity to see what they can do with the ball in the middle of the park. I thought I do manage to get a bit of a drive on. It's been staunched. Harding throws a dummy. Ahmed Aminu came in very hard tackle there, and Elliot Hutchinson, and probably came off slightly the worse for wear. Sometimes happens if you mistime it. Unfortunately, the ball shot across to Ed Stevens, and he wasn't able to pick it up. A very difficult bounce just in front of his eye line. Next week, Thurrock have a very difficult game away to Eton Manor. We'll be looking forward to the journey up to the other side of the Lee Valley. Matt Whiting takes that quickly, hands off Eddie Stevens. Christiaki bounces through a tackle or two. This is better play from Chingford. Now Clifford comes in for the tackle that has gone wide. Another tackler bounced off, Hamid Aminu. Leighton ball goes very close, or Joe Saunders. The referee comes back for an offside.
Question where he stands. I'd question that a little bit. It's a bit far up the pitch. I don't believe they were quite that high up, but can't argue with the ref in rugby.
The referee's always right, we know that. Otherwise you go back 10 yards and sometimes you go into the bin. So don't argue with the referee ever. Nothing to gain. And psychologically you're at disadvantage as well once you get on the wrong side of the referee. I was always very polite to them myself. I was always very polite to referees, as you can imagine. So with my distinctive accent, I would have been sent off. So Chingford with an attacking scrum in the Thurrock 22. I've been watching podcasts of Andrew Cotter, you know, the brilliant commentator with his dogs. He's equally brilliant with the dogs as he is with the commentary of international matches. I've got a dog myself, his name is Riot. He would be complete chaos if he were in a podcast. Andrew Cotter's dogs are very well behaved. Have you seen them?
No.
Look at Andrew Cotter and his dogs.
Ooh.
He's a great commentator.
Love dogs. I'll have to watch it now if there's dogs involved.
So it's Alex Deary to put the ball in for Chingford in their black and white hooped shirts. Steph Harding. Blindside wings come across, make the extra man. Rhys Cotter's come in to take his man. Chingford come back across the field. Harding is collared, manages to get the ball away to Christiaki. Henry Bird looks for the tackle, now Clifford. Joe Saunders has lost possession. Eddie Stevens comes blind. Dan Olf looks to come inside. Keeps the ball in one hand. A la Alan Wynne-Jones last week. Tom Wildman steadies the ship. Dan Stone. Long pass now Clifford. He puts in a left-footed kick with Rhys Cotter outside him. Eddie Stevens throws out to Dan Stone on the right. Dan Stone kicks for position.
Come on, Leighton!
So Leighton ball it is on that left wing. He's lost possession, giving Dan Olf a chance to score. Thurrock gone blind. That simple, straightforward try in the corner. That was Captain Ben Timpson poaching on the blind side. Found himself in the outrageous position of being alone on the touchline as Dan Olf picked up the loose ball and put him into the corner, putting Thurrock into a 58-point lead.
That was amazing to see from Thurrock. Chingford thought they had found a weak spot in the defence of Thurrock, just in that far corner over there, but Thurrock seemed to have seen that already and made sure to make it stronger with reinforcements and continued to drive Chingford back into their own half, managed to take the ball. Again, it seems to be quite a kicking game, so kicked it back into their half, and an amazing sight taken there, and another point scored. Unfortunately, just a missed conversion there, but quite a difficult kick from that angle and that distance, but it's very well administered anyway.
I'm sorry, the co-commentator got that wrong. It was 55 points. For some reason I thought it was 58, but my eyesight let me down again. And Steph Harding must be fatigued with kicking off repeatedly in this game. Poor chap. Lawrence Brown. It does well not to bring a forward pass then. Now Clifford has to laugh at his own error there. And Loke had done exceedingly well because the man had overtaken him. He still managed to give the pass backwards. I think now Clifford got a little bit excited. Last week, Thurrock came very close to defeating one of the top teams. That's been the story of the season. Now with a bit of respite from injury, the full squad to pick from, they're showing their true mettle. This is a very difficult league, Anglia Region 2, and all the teams are capable of beating each other on their day. And strangely, most of Thurrock's success this year has been away from home, which is highly unusual. So a couple of big games for Thurrock over the next 2 weeks. Eton Manor away next week, and the following week, the pre-Christmas derby against Southend. Should be one to look forward to. Wildman there, strong in the tackle.
I think he needs to stop trying to do the break.
Loka picks up the pieces, feeds Henry Bird. Reece Cotter comes rushing into the line, manages to give the ball out to Eddie Stevens, who kicks the ball downfield. Strangely. Dan Wolf has managed to pick that one up. He accelerates around the outside, comes hard infield, avoiding the touchline. Wildman, he's lost the ball, hand the ball back to Chingford. Good crowd Thurrock today. You can never see it because the camera is always on the other side of the field. But on the grandstand side, a very large crowd enjoying this autumn feast of scoring from Thurrock first team. The second team had just enjoyed their game on the artificial pitch. Which also has floodlights. So you're blessed with amazing facilities here at Thurrock for the youth of tomorrow to enjoy today. So there's an early engagement from Thurrock, and Chingford go quickly. And a series of knock-ons there. A little bit of desperation from Chingford.
Since no surprise games.
40.
Who was it on? Who they play? Who did they play?
Team was that? It sounds as if it was a very good win for the second team against Eton Manor. Thurrock retreating line out there. This time Clifford can't hold on to the ball in the middle of the field on the short ball.
Take him off there. Get him off.
So after the most outstanding half an hour, the game has gone into the doldrums a little with a lot of unforced errors, unnecessary errors coming there.
77-17. They called it early.
The score in the second team game was 77 points to 7. And we hope that former chairman Lee Hughes managed to get back from Wales okay, arriving at Thurrock on a later train.
Yes.
Excellent tackle from Jay Jennings. Wearing a number 7 shirt today. A very big and powerful back row for Thurrock. Not a terribly wise thing to do, run straight at Dritan Loka in that fashion. Rhys Cotter gives Kai Holloway a chance to dance in the middle of the field. A couple of right-footed side steps, finds his way through.
That was high.
Chased over the park by Leighton Ball. He comes from the other wing to look for him. James Roger does exceptionally well to get to ground. Lawrence Brown shoved into the tackler by Dritanaloka, then clears out with menace. Jay Jennings looking for the ball in the middle of the field. Eddie Stevens, whoop, good counter ruck. Well, the ball does come wide now. Clifford, Rhys Cotter's in the line. Kai Holloway another chance, comes inside. Does like the right-footed sidestep. No way around the outside. Loka. Difficult ball to take. Looking like Jordan Pickford in the attempt to catch that ball. Diving hard to his left. I think Henry Bird has taken a bit of a knock. Put in a very big tackle. Looks as if he's done little damage to his shoulder. We're hoping it's not too serious. Possibly a stinger. That means Alex Jones has come back onto the field. Rhys Cotter has moved into the centre. Alex Jones to full back. Just needs to move to the wing now, Alex, to play in every position this season. Gabriella's getting very cold here, so she'll need to say a few words.
Yes, well, don't think that will quite warm me up, but trying to keep my high knees going to keep her knees moving, not cracking or anything. Got to be fit for tomorrow, of course.
Yeah. Commentators' lot is not an easy one, especially when the weather's cold and we're far away. When your father and I were away last week, it was freezing. We were on the touchline. No grandstand cover for us. Brentwood. Brentwood on the marsh. Deep in the foothills of the Whalley Heights. So Henry Bird talking to team manager Mike Dunk. We're hoping there's nothing too serious with him. He has managed to pull off his own shirt, so that's a good sign. Alex Jones there, in the full back position, works a reverse switch with Ahmed Aminou. It should be quite good in these conditions. He's lost the ball there, giving Chingford a chance for a crossfield kick for Joe Saunders. And unfortunately for the winger, that ball has bounced away from him and away from our Clifford. He's found touch. So if the score were 0-0, that would be an outstanding kick. In the context of this game, it's a bit unfortunate that Chingford have not been able to add to their early score. The game has petered out somewhat, unsurprisingly, in the cold conditions and with the lead so big. But Loka does win that line out. Thurrock drive the maul. Chingford don't engage, so Thurrock make 20 metres without reply. Clifford does well to take that difficult ball, carries a couple of players with him. Thurrock recycle. Antrobus is fed short. Jennings is in very closely, but Chingford have been penalised in offside position. Stone will look for a long touch, and that is an outstanding kick.
One sec, Ralph.
We apologise for the brief loss of sound there, just a technical problem. We think we managed to right it now. If we haven't, please telephone us. Ball has gone to ground there, and Chingford have taken advantage. Leighton Ball there, the first player to get there, but sadly he is knocked on. Almost a comedy of errors there. Watching viewers, Henry Bird has got to his feet. Looks as if it was just a short-term injury. Hopefully there are no long-term effects. He has got his try, so I suppose he's quite happy to leave the field at this stage. So Thurrock were in a strong attacking position. They lost possession of the ball. Chingford came away with it. Then they made a mistake of their own. So there's quick engagement. Thurrock go quickly again. Dan Stone feeds out now. Clifford comes outside. Alex Jones comes in the line, throws the dummy.
Oh, he just tried to grab his neck.
Reece Cotter looks blind, but the ball has gone back to the open. Thurrock hope to retain possession. They have no full back at present. So they go through the forwards. Dan Ulf. Dan Stone looks the outside. Throws a dummy himself this time. Feeds off with one hand. Good inside ball. Eddie Stevens. Reece Cotter just caught from behind. Rolls forward. Eddie Stevens throws the ball at Dritan Loka. He's looking for a try himself. The big man would deserve a try today. Instead, it's picked up on the blind side. Just held up. And finally, the referee has awarded a try, and it looks like a maiden try for Aaron Antrobus.
That's the least celebrated try ever.
I think we were all a little bit confused there. That's why there was a lack of a cheer. But obviously very happy to see that the score is currently 65. As Reece Cotter lines up for the kick again. Probably getting quite tired of taking these conversions by now. And I believe that try was scored by Aaron there.
Aaron Antrobus with a try. And one has to say, since Reece Cotter has taken over the kicking duties, he's kicked exceptionally well, coming very close with one or two difficult ones and also kicking a couple of difficult conversions. Places the ball very high on the tee. Very interesting kicking style. This time he drives it low and hard, and actually it goes over the posts. I'm trying to work out whose kicking style he mimics. If anybody can tell me who that is, please call me. It's a little bit like Dan Bigger, not quite as twitchy. So it's Thurrock 62. Chingford 5. And Aaron Antrobus, having scored the try, now drops the ball. And the ball has gone to another Thurrock player, and it's a penalty. A little bit of a lack of concentration at that stage of the game. Of course, it's the Owen Farrell routine we missed. Why wouldn't he emulate Owen Farrell? I think he's gone to third in the all-time list of scorers in international rugby. He's had 100 caps. Still seems like a young man. Good head of hair. Chingford with an opportunity, lose the ball in possession. Ahmed Amanu has a chance to break out. He's taken down by a high tackle. The referee looks to see if there's an advantage. There was none. I suppose that's one way of stopping an attack.
Give me inspiration for another.
Players getting cold now. Looks like an injury to now Clifford, unsurprisingly. Number of tackles that man puts in. He's got to his feet. The vice captain has been quite outstanding this season, showing great leadership skills. Dan Stone has had an outstanding day with the boot. Debate with Ian Lewis, the former Welsh reserve, yesterday about kicking techniques. And the number of players who don't use the spiral kick. He mentioned Stuart Hogg, the Scotland full-back, is one who persists with it and does exceptionally well with it. Caelan Watts-Adams, supreme in the line-out. Dan Stone, Rhys Cotter in the centre, feeds Niall Clifford. Alex Jones looks for Aminu on the inside. Aminu goes very low centre of gravity. Invariably invites the high tackle. Lawrence Brown tries to get on the end of Tom Wildman. The game has slowed down a bit. Eddie Stevens with a lovely low tackle. Gianluca goes low, misses his man. It's good play by Steph Harding. Sorry, I've got the wrong person there. It's one of the subs who's come on. It's Steve Piper. Very long lofted pass, a little loop around. One under the legs, a dummy under the legs. Chingford throwing the ball around with gay abandon. What have they got to lose? Full marks to them. That one's been thrown behind all the players. It's regathered by the Welshman Rhys Evans. He's tackled by Jay Jennings, uncompromisingly. Steve Piper, Jay Jennings with another tackle. This time the ball goes backwards, but Danov has managed to gather it. Can't quite get the ball away to former teammate, the current teammate, Caelan Watts-Adams, and the referee blows up. It was written last week that Thurrock aren't very far away from a complete performance. Well, it wasn't quite that today, with the game petering out towards the end, but for the most part, it was by far their best performance of the season. Some outstanding work in the middle field from Dan Stone, now Clifford and Henry Bird, and they managed to break the gain line repeatedly. Lots of good support play which led the tries. A very good brace for Dan Stone. And all in all, a very good day at the office for Thurrock. Some of the top teams will face each other in the coming weeks. And none will be too happy to come down to Thurrock, one suspects, for the rest of the season, but we don't know, of course. But these things are very, very competitive now. And Dean Cutting, the Chingford coach, congratulates Dave Stevens, former opponents, of course, on the playing field when Dean was the captain of Barking and Dave Stevens the captain of Thurrock. It's an outstanding result for Thurrock today, and they thoroughly deserve their margin of victory, and a great outfit for the Thurrock faithful. Next week they travel along to Eton Manor, so it's good afternoon from Gabriella Diana,
Good afternoon, everyone from Thurrock.
and good afternoon from Marco Diana, the cameraman.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And we look forward to seeing you again next week at Eton Manor. Good afternoon.